I mean, that where you talked about you feel like you didn't have an identity almost when you were in that 9 to 5 job working for this huge company. I feel like so many people get stuck in that. They like end up there and then they just get stuck there and it just that cycle perpetuates where like they just never have that identity.
Well, it actually makes a lot of sense because it's every human in this world typically looks for comfort and stability. It's kind of what we've been told, especially for me and my brother, like being raised by immigrant parents. Like they came to this country to give us a better opportunity. And what that opportunity typically leads to is, oh, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go be a dentist, because it's a high salary job, but you have to do a lot of school. But we've all been told like, oh, find the job that's safe. Find the job that has a good 401k. Find the job that is secure, right? But in that comfort, you never push outside of that, of your own comfort zone. And you never see what you're actually capable of. And it's not until you get really fucking uncomfortable, physically, work-wise, relationally, whatever it is, that you start to see the true growth and potential that you have as a human.
That comfort and the security is what keeps people in those jobs for 40 years. And they're promised, like you said, benefits, a 401k, retirement. They can work their ass off for 40, 50 years, and then they can retire and enjoy it when they're 60 or 70 years old. But, I mean, like, what do you think, for you, what was the hardest part about leaving that? Was it the security?
Part of it was like the reputation too. It's like, what are people going to think? When I tell you that, like when I worked that job, if you look back at 2018, I did not post anything on social media. I was living through FOMO, through other people's experiences, because I could have gone back and played football. My mind was still lost into my football identity. I was sitting at this cubicle and I would look at some of my buddies that went back for their 5th year, some of my teammates that I had been really close with at Monmouth, and the year I was gone was like the first year that they actually competed for a conference championship. And I was looking at these videos and these pictures of all my buddies, and I was wishing that I was where they were. And in those moments, I'm like, fuck, I'm literally the hypocrite of what I now try to preach. I was FOMOing through other people's lives. I was living through other people's experiences because I didn't get that. Like, I didn't experience that fully, right? I felt like, oh, fuck, like I wanted to go back for my 5th year, but I had such a poor relationship with my coaches. And a lot of that has to do with my own insecurities and my own immaturity at that age during college, where I felt like I was better than I was. I felt I was bigger than the team and all these things. And when I look back at that moment of like, oh shit, I caught myself. I was consuming Gary Vee's content, but then I was sitting there living through FOMO. And I was just like, fuck, it's like I'm contradicting my own self. And through that, I was like, oh shit, I'd rather now. The feeling of that FOMO, bro, sucks. Like, I'm literally like through social media, watching other people's pictures and videos and trying to live through them versus living my own fucking life. And in that moment, I was like, I need to just double down on who I am and the skill sets and the things I'm not good at. I need to develop these things so I can become the person that I know I can be. And that is not an easy road. That's not just this linear progression. Like, it takes a lot of time and sacrifice to develop yourself. And it comes from a lot of different formats, whether it's hanging out with different people, whether it's listening to different things or reading different books or listening to different podcasts. And the one thing that I believe to be true for any human, and we all have the power to control what we listen to and the people we associate with. And that's something, whether you live in Des Moines, Iowa or Austin, Texas, that you're in control of. When I lived at my mom's place, when I was living in Baltimore, I just chose to listen to different things. Instead of watching NFL Sunday for 9 hours, I would watch a game or two and then I would go consume the content I want to consume. And I think that pivot, for most people, they're like, oh my God, Matt, what's the secret sauce? How do I do it? How do I do this? How do you stay so positive? Well, if you only surround yourself with positive thinkers, positive people, I guarantee you that you will be the next positive person.
Yeah, I think we're products of our environment, more or less, right? So the great part about that, though, is you can create, for the most part, your own environment. You can choose what kind of content you consume. You can choose who you follow on social media and what you engage with. And even more so, you can choose what you let influence you. And so having those people like Gary Vee and these people that you look up to as inspirations, it's just so powerful to constantly consume that stuff, because you can go the other way too and just consume, a bunch of like negative political stuff, and you just think the world sucks, and then in turn your day-to-day life sucks because you're consuming all that negative stuff. So for people that are like stuck in that 9 to 5 kind of thing, or they want to invest in themselves and want to go on their personal brand and start doing this, but they just have no clue where to start. What piece of advice would you give somebody who wants to make that jump, but they're waiting for that perfect time maybe? Like what advice would you have for that person?
I would say there's never a perfect time, right? Like the perfect time's always now. It's like always present. It's where your feet are. It's like if you have that ambition, then right now is the time to act on it. Like there's no more thinking. It's like you already thought about it. That's why there's even a thought of someone bringing that up, right? So I think the best time is always wherever you are now. And you can always find a way to start, right? And maybe that starting point for that person that has a 9-to-5, that also has 2 kids and 2 dogs, like that situation is a lot harder than someone that's a bachelor. I totally have empathy for that and understand that their growth and their progression is going to be maybe a little bit slower, maybe a little bit more ups and downs, and maybe not as consistent. But that's okay. I think understanding what you're trying to do in this world is a good start. Self-awareness, the understanding of self, of purpose, of what makes you tick, of what motivates you, what inspires you. Every human knows that. There's nothing that I'm going to say today that's going to be able to get inside the ear of someone else. I don't know who's going to listen to this podcast, right? But what I do know is that for people, it's about understanding who you are. Start with that and start to peel back the onion to figure out what is making you not do it. What's making you feel like you're tired or you're burnt out and all these things. Like I had a conversation with my friend Kyla yesterday, and similar to what you and I talked about 8 months ago, Jeremy, like I had a nice chat with her about that, the same convo 8 months ago, around the same time. The difference is, I love Kyla. She might watch this, she might listen to this. I love you, Kyla. But I gave her shit yesterday about it. I was like, you didn't take any action. Period. Like she literally brought me the same conversation that we had 8 months ago to Collective yesterday. And before I worked out, I had a nice 30-minute chat with her. And I told her, I said, Kyla, the difference is you're thinking about all these things. You have the content calendar, the schedule, all the things that are meaningless. The action is uploading the video. That's the critical difference. You have to upload because you can edit the video, you can look at the transition, look at the text, look at all the shit that you can find online right now. But what stops people from actually doing is the insecurity. It's the uncertainty. It's the internal doubt of, am I good enough? Am I worthy? What makes someone want to listen to me? And if you can beat those voices, the game's done. You already won. Now it's just a matter of time. And that breakthrough will happen after enough reps.